Hello, welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus Kane. Today is February the 6th of 2023. It's a 2/6/2023. Can you believe that? How's everyone doing? I took 3 days off. I had a bit of a sniffle. I wound up getting a head cold on Tuesday. It developed just suddenly, and I actually had it really bad Tuesday night, and Wednesday it was gone. But I said I was going to sleep in Wednesday. I wasn't going to record so that I could get better, because I knew I could kick it in one day if I really, really tried. So I slept in, and it went away. It was gone. But it's been clean out ever since. Because, viruses basically are just your body telling you that there's something inside of your system that you need to get out. So I've spent the past 5 days, from Wednesday to yesterday, and I'm still doing it, getting this gunk out of my lungs, getting this crap out of my sinuses. So I decided Thursday and Friday as well, I was going to sleep in so that I could make sure my body was able to get everything out. I actually kind of sort of lost my voice a little bit too. On, I'm going to say Friday. Well, Thursday really, more than anything else. It was just the coughing was so bad that if I were to try to get on here and record, it just would have made it worse. So I just took the day off. It's where I've been. I wasn't banned or anything like that. Although I'm still waiting for a Facebook ban, because one of my old posts came back around, and the one that's notorious for getting me banned, the one that they don't put any warnings on whatsoever. They just give it to you as a memory, and you can either reshare it or you can just let it sit there. And it's the one that I said, and it's probably going to get me banned off. It's probably going to get this video banned off of YouTube as well. There is no sickness that anyone could call something starts with a V and ends with an S. There is only your fear of numbers. And Facebook has banned me for weeks for that, just for writing that down. There is no blank, only your fear of numbers. You can fill in that blank any way you want to. And so I reposted it, and then I took a screenshot of it, and I said, this is the post that gets me every single time. There's no warning, nothing. It's all self-censorship. They want me to not post it again, because if I do, they may ban me for a week, and they may still ban me for a week. And they'll put, how do they put it? They'll put my post lower in the feeds, or I won't be able to post to certain groups, or just a whole bunch of other stupid arbitrary rules that don't make any sense whatsoever. But that's where you are, And I as I was getting ready this morning, I got to the main YouTube page, and the first thing I saw was some of the normies, some of the guys that only talk about video games, or they talk about entertainment things, stuff like that, talking about YouTube censorship. There it is, When the normies start talking about these things, you need to start paying attention, because that means that it's starting to affect them. And I'm starting to see it more and more. The normies are starting to ask the questions, what's going on? And all I can really say from my perspective, from my point of view is, well, we've been trying to warn you of this for the past however many years. There were people before me that were trying to warn us of this. There were people decades before us trying to warn us of this. There were people centuries before us trying to warn us of this. Evil snowballs consistently, and they will shut down any arguments that you have because they don't want to hear it. And that's what we're seeing right now. We're seeing this massive censorship push because they want things hidden. If they want things hidden, that means that evil is afoot. That means that there are problems in the world that they don't want you to know about. They are doing everything in their power, and they are slowly, consistently moving forward with every evil conceivable in order to hurt and destroy the goodness of this world. Because there is still good. There are still people that just want to live their lives. There are still people out there that want to worship God, that want to follow His ways, follow His rules. Just follow what He wants us to do, just to be better. But they have tricked and manipulated everyone into following the ways of evil. Into following the ways of evil, into thinking that they are nothing but slave monkeys on a nowhere planet in a nowhere galaxy. You mean nothing. Your life is worthless. So while you're here, you might as well get all of your kicks in, and you might as well follow the system, because the system is your father. That is their thinking. That is the teachings that they instill to your children from the moment they are born. And you think it's okay just to sit your kid in front of the TV and let the television raise them until they are old enough to go to school. And once they are old enough to go to school, the state has them. They have been doing brainwashing, manipulation upon the human race for more than 100 years. They have perfected it. It's not enough to where you can't break out of it, but it is just enough that you will become a mindless zombie following every single rule that they want you to follow. Because that's the way the system was created. The system is not falling apart by accident. The system is falling apart on purpose. They created it to fall apart, so that when they are there to pick up the pieces, they can instill their rule. There are evil men in this world that want nothing more than to make you their slaves, 100%. Why people cannot get that through their heads, I do not know. The world is not hunky-dory anymore. Your innocence is over. It is time to wake up and speak out. It is time for action. We are well past the point where we can just fall asleep. Please wake up. But yeah, that was my week. I got sick. I got sick. I lost the whole week. I don't know where it went. It was a haze of Dayquil and cough drops. It really was. We were out yesterday, and I was like, what day is it? And she was like, well, it's Sunday. It's February the 5th. And I was like, man, I lost a week. It feels like, because we were talking about, it was, what was it, 2 weeks ago that my mom's storage unit got broken into. 2 weeks. I was like, man, where'd that other week go? What the heck? It's just the way it was. I just lost a whole week. It's just time just moved by so fast. Just gone. Because I was sick. Oh, that was crazy. Crazy stuff. I kind of need to jump into Jeremiah 38 here because it is kind of a big one. It's 2 pages. 2 pages can go pretty long the way that we talk about them. There's so much I want to talk about. Believe me. I could go on and on about this Chinese balloon nonsense. I definitely want to say more than anything else, and I tried to put this out there, and a lot of people, they mocked and they laughed and the whole thing. Satellites are on balloons. We've talked about this. There is nothing floating out in space. Nothing that you can call a satellite. And if there is something out there, it's not what you think it is. But this whole satellite on a balloon, that's such garbage. I swear. You're going to tell me that they let some balloon float all the way across the entirety of the United States. It only got filmed in 2 areas. Think about that for a second. It only got really filmed in 2 areas. It was over, what was it, Oregon? I don't remember where it was. I don't remember where it was, but it got filmed in one place, and then it got filmed getting shot down. You're telling me this thing crossed the entirety of the United States of America and magically got shot down off the coast of South Carolina or wherever it was, and in spectacular fashion, no less. And then they magically closed off all of that area of water so that nobody could go out there and do anything about it. You're going to tell me that's the story you're going to buy? It's insane. It's insane, the bullshit that people will believe. That's how they launch satellites, by the way. They launch them on balloons. They've been doing it for years. NASA's been doing it for years. Everything you know is a lie. There was a lot of people that, a lot of the flat earthers on Twitter that were saying, "Oh, look, their whole space thing is falling apart minute by minute because of this." It's like, no, I don't think they're going to buy it. These people won't believe that they launch satellites on balloons. You really think they're going to believe that, they're not also up in space? You're going to show them pictures of this satellite hanging from a balloon, and then you're going to show a picture of the ISS side by side, even though they look almost exactly alike. And I'm not kidding, they looked almost exactly alike. And you're going to tell them this is how it works. They're still going to mock you and deny it, and they're going to say, no, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're talking about. Okay, whatever. They're so ingrained in the system that they can wake up. That's why the system was created this way, is because they have to have the ability to be able to make up their own mind. It's amazing. People say, well, Satan forces you to know. Satan wants you to come to him willingly, just like God wants you to come to him willingly. He wants you to give up your goodness and follow him willingly. He puts these temptations in front of you so that you will take it. He can do things to you. It's up to you whether you give up your power of goodness, you give up your power of God. It is up to you whether you give up your salvation in order to follow him. That's worth thinking about. It really is worth thinking about. Let's read Jeremiah 38. Again, I will try to get through this as best as I can. We may have to take a tissue break. You know how it is. I may wind up coughing halfway through. I'm not perfect. I'm still not perfect. Believe me, it's like I said, my body got sick, and then that next day it was like, oh, now we're going to clean everything out of your lungs. Probably all the crap that I've been storing up for the entire winter. And I still say, it may have something to do with being stuck inside of a house. You may be inhaling dust. You may be inhaling fumes from your furnaces. You may be inhaling who knows what garbage. And then suddenly you get sick. When the furnaces come on, people get sick. That's just the way it is. People think it's because you catch a bug from somebody else. Well, no, everybody gets sick at almost the same times. I was outside with the dogs, and it was 20 degrees. That was stupid of me. I caught a cold. Why do you think they call it catching a cold? You catch the cold. It is an environmental illness. It's exactly what it is. It's environmental. My wife went out last Sunday. She caught it on Monday, or she got sick on Monday, but she had to go out on Sunday to a baby shower or something. It was 20 degrees outside. She was probably out in the cold way more than she should have been. She won't admit it, but that's when the weather changes. When you're forced to go inside, your body turns. Now, as far as, when people get sick in the summer, I don't know. Maybe it's something else going on there. It's environmental. I absolutely agree with that. I've said it for all my entire life. I get sick once, maybe twice a year. Once in December and usually once around March. This is a little early. This is January. But I was able to look at my Facebook memories, and sure enough, this time, 3 years ago, I was sick as a dog. It happens. It happens year after year after year. It's not because I'm catching it from somebody, because I haven't been outside of the house. No, I haven't been catching it from anybody. This happened because I was outside in the cold. This happened because my body was telling me, hey, it's time to start emptying this crap out of your system. You need sleep, you need rest, so that we can fight this thing. I feel right as rain now. Yes, I still have some cleaning out to do, but I feel good. That's part of the whole process, is once you get over it, you feel like you can attack the world. You feel like you want to go run laps around the house. It's because your body gets better. That's a clean out. That's why God gives you a food clean out in the beginning of spring for Passover. No bread for a week, so that your body can cleanse itself. He tells you to get rid of the leavening in your house. It's spring cleaning. Where do you think spring cleaning came from? You clean out your house. You clean out your body. You clean out your soul. You prepare yourself for the upcoming year. These things have been there forever. These things have been there forever. Nobody ever questions why we do it. It's because it's a cleaning of the system. It's a cleaning of everything, so that you can be healthy going into the next year, so that you can store up all that gunk for a whole nother year and then clean it back out. And do it all over again. Because it's a cycle. It's the cycle of this world. It's how it works. And believe me, there are so many things in this world that are not good for us at all, that we constantly take in. And the more I think about the electronic waves, the confining people into their houses, about keeping them inside of these Faraday cages that we call homes now, that are just one big, huge electronic box with electrical wires and Wi-Fi constantly blasting you 24/7. The more I think, man, they've been trying to kill us for years. This is not the way we should be living. This is absolutely not the way we should be living. You wonder why people are getting more and more sick. They will never attack the problem. They will only attack the symptoms. It's time to wake up to it. It's time to wake up to it. All right, Jeremiah 38. See, I just coughed up some more. It's coming out, which is good. But it's, it's slow. It's taking its time. That stuff I got on the first day, I was like, God, that was in my body. What? You ever done that? You ever, blew your nose or, coughed something up and you're just like, why? How am I still alive if that was in my body? What is that? That was terrible. It's like, what in the world? Alright. Jeremiah 38. My voice is already cracked. I just heard my voice crack. Now let's get through this. Father, let me get through this, please. And then the first thing I got is a word, is a name. Then Shephatiah, okay. Then Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, He that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall save his life for a prey, and shall live. Thus saith the Lord, This city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon. Let's try that again. Verse 3, Thus saith the Lord, This city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, We beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah, and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords, and in the dungeon there was no water but mire. So Jeremiah sunk in the mire. Yet again, if you speak out the words, they're going to do everything in their power to get rid of you. They do not want the truth. They do not want the truth. They only want to hear what they want to hear. Starting back up at the top. Then Shephatiah, the son of Matan, and Gedaliah, the son of Pashur, and Jukal, the son of Shelemiah, and Pashur, the son of Malchiah, heard the words that Jeremiah had spoken unto all the people, saying, and of course, these are all the ones that as soon as they heard him say it, they said, oh no, we should put him to death. Let's see what the meanings of these names are. Shephatiah, Jehovah has judged. Matan is a gift. Gedaliah is Jehovah is great. Pashur is freedom. Jukal, Jehovah is able. And Shelemiah is repaid by Jehovah. And Pashur, where are we at? There we are. Pashur means freedom. Oh, there's two sons. Gedaliah the son of Pashur, and Pashur the son of Malchiah. So is it? I don't think it's the same person, is it? Could or could not be the same person. You never know. Malchiah, my king, is Jehovah. So these were people. Even though that they were named as people of the Most High. Their names have Yah's name. The meanings of the names. Even though they had their names. They still went out of their way to say, put this man to death. This man he's said nothing but bad things against us his entire life. From when he was a child on up. Everything he's ever said has gone against our people. It even says it right here. Thus saith the Lord, this is verse 2, thus saith the Lord, he that remaineth in this city shall die by the sword, by the famine, and by the pestilence. But he that goeth forth to the Chaldeans shall live, for he shall have his life for a prey, and shall live. This is one of the things that the word came to Jeremiah and told them. Do not fight back against this. If you're taken captive, you will live. Your children will live. Your grandchildren will live, and then they will be coming back into the land. Thus saith the Lord, the city shall surely be given into the hand of the king of Babylon's army, which shall take it. Therefore the princes said unto the king, this is the princes, this is all the people that we were talking about. We beseech thee, let this man be put to death, for thus he weakeneth the hands of the men of war that remain in this city, because he told them not to fight, and the hands of all the people, in speaking such words unto them. For this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. One of the things I heard yesterday, wow. Sorry, I had to cough one up. Yeah, that was. I'm starting to think that just talking within itself is starting to get stuff up. One of the things I heard yesterday was, what was it? Paul, I think, was the one that said it. That God is not a respecter of persons. Romans 2:11. Oh, goodness. Oh, it is amazing. I still find it hilarious that everybody loves to use Romans as being subject to your rulers. Be subject to the men of this world. But they don't ever like to read the rest of the book. There is no respect of persons with God. God does not respect people. There is no respect of persons with God. He for as many have sinned without the law shall also perish without the law, and as many have sinned in the law shall be judged by the law. God is no respecter of persons. He is not going to give one person any more power than another person when the true judgment comes. And they love to say, give all your power over to your rulers, your kings. But then they avoid stuff like this, like Jeremiah, where it says, for this man seeketh not the welfare of this people, but the hurt. Jeremiah went out of his way because God told him to tell everyone, put your weapons down. You're going to be taken captive. You don't have to stop following my laws. You don't have to stop following my commandments when you're there. Just know if you fight back over what's coming, because this is a punishment, because you decided you didn't want to follow my commandments now, it ain't going to matter whenever you're there, because you're not going to follow them there either. He said, this is a punishment to you because you chose not to listen to me. I don't want to kill you, so I will let you go into captivity. But if you decide to fight back against this, because I'm sending this upon you, if you fight back against this, then you're fighting back against me. Okay, so what does that have to do with every time you tell us that we need to stand up and take action? Well, I'm going to tell you right now. You pray to God and you ask Him what you're supposed to do. Ask Him what you're supposed to do. Ask Him if you're just supposed to lay down and take whatever's coming right now, or if you're supposed to be speaking the word and trying to wake people up, trying to save souls. You ask the Father. You sit down and you pray with Him and you ask Him what you're supposed to be doing. That word came to Jeremiah. Jeremiah, he never once. It doesn't say that he was asking and begging for this word. It says the word of the Lord came to Jeremiah and said. Now that was somebody that's not even asking for it. I think it did say somewhere where Jeremiah was praying and he said, yeah. But he wasn't even asking for it. So what are we supposed to do? We have to pray to God. Ask Him what He wants us to do. God has constantly told us, spread the word. Send my message out to the people. Tell them to be better. Fight evil with the spirit of truth, the spirit of the word. Learn the truth. Come out of her. That's what He wants more than anything. That means you have to come out of this world. And yes, that's fighting back against the world. That's not giving into the system. Christianity is the ultimate rebellion. It is the ultimate rebellion against this world. It is absolutely 100% amazing every time somebody gives the whole argument about men wrote the Bible. Men wrote the Bible. Men wrote the New Testament. Men wrote all these things. It's all fake. It's all just there for control. If it was all there just for control, why does it constantly talk about coming away from what men want? You say it's there for control only because there are churches that have used it for control. Well, I'll tell you what, we're watching, what is it, 1923? It's like the second spinoff from Yellowstone. You know, the whole Yellowstone thing is amazing, but we watched the 1883, but now we're watching the 1923. It's the one with Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. It's a continuation of the story of the Yellowstone. But there's a part in there, and I don't know if this stuff is true or not, I'm sure it is, where it's about a Indian school where they grabbed all these Native American girls, and it's all Catholic, you know, the priests and nuns, and they're in there, and every time one of these girls does something wrong, they beat the shit out of them, or their punishments that they give to these girls are just absolutely crazy. And all I can think about the entire time is Catholics. Ugh. Those are the ones. They don't call them Roman Catholics for nothing, because Catholicism was created when Constantine decided that he wanted to go ahead and make himself Christian, quote unquote Christian. Roman Catholicism. Because they said they could use the book. It's the same as the movie, The Book of Eli. The guy wanted the book that Eli had. because he knew that it could be used as a weapon of control. He just needed the words. That's why that's what that meant. If you had this book, you could use this book in order to control people. Well, sure enough, they're doing a damn good job of it. This book is not about giving into a system of man. This book is about rebelling against man. Every single step of the way, about doing what God wants you to do, not what man wants you to do. But people like, Roman Catholic Church, like the entirety of the United States government, other countries, I'm sure, around the world, will throw out every other page of this book. They'll keep John 3:16, because they love that one. They love to throw that one out everywhere. They'll keep John 3:16, and they'll keep Romans 7? I don't even remember now, because surely it's not Romans 13. What is Romans 13? Yeah, it's Romans 13. Yeah. They'll keep those two, and they'll say, God loves you. God loves you, and God wants you to do what he tells you to do. So let's start with Romans 13. Let's not even read any other part of this Bible whatsoever. Let's start with Romans 13. They'll keep those two verses. They won't even touch anything else of the book. I was thinking about that the other day as well. Just, it's amazing how they will teach one thing, one direct thing, and one thing only. But they will never, ever go back and talk about anything else. What does it have to... We passed a church the other day. What was it? Oh, we passed a church that still said something about Happy Holidays, Merry Christmas. It's like, dude, it's February. It's time to change your... it's time to change your sign. But it got me thinking about, how does that church... How do they skip around places like Jeremiah? How do they skip around all those places in the Bible where it says, do not follow after the pagans? How do they skim around those verses? Because it's got to be what it is. Is when you go into that church and they'll read from the New Testament. They might even read from the Old Testament. But they have to skip around all those verses that tell you, do not do as the pagans do. How do you... what was the other one? I was looking up the word trunk. If you look up the word trunk on Facebook Marketplace or on Craigslist, because I've been looking for the 2 steamer trunks that got stolen out of my mom's storage unit. If you look up the word trunk, you will hit trunk or treat. That was another way I was thinking about it too, is how do those churches skip over those verses where it says, do not celebrate witchcraft, do not do as the pagans do not follow witches, do not follow warlocks, do not follow wizards? How do they skim over even the wise learned men, the magicians in Pharaoh's time, the one that said, well, look, Moses can throw a stick on the ground and turn it into a snake, so can we. How do they skip over those verses? I mean, that's some mental gymnastics. I mean, do they read right up until a verse right before that and they say, well, now let's sing a song. Oh, we're out of time. Well, next week we'll go to the next book and we don't have to worry about any of it. How do they skim over those verses? How do you intentionally blind your congregation to the truth? Because that's exactly what's happening. That is absolutely exactly what is happening. They're going out of their way to blind their congregations to this. And anyone that speaks out against that, going back to this, anyone that speaks out against that will say, well, see, look, this man, he's reading the whole book. He's telling us the word of God. That's not what we were told. You remember earlier in the chapters where it was talking about where they were saying, well, our wise men have always been our wise men. Our prophets will always prophesy good words. The princes will always be the princes that will be there. Said this man is just coming out of nowhere and talking this nonsense. So we don't have to listen to that. He's not learned enough. He's not high enough in power. We don't have to listen to him. Some kid trying to tell us something. Let's prison him up. He's in prison. He's in prison now. Screw it. Let's put him to death. Put him to death. He's speaking against us. Boy, it hurts my soul sometimes. It really does. I had a prayer today about burdens. It's such a burden. Sometimes it is. Sometimes these people, man. To hear these people talk, and all you just know. You just know you have something better. You just know if they would just listen. If they would just hear your words and at least understand half of what you're talking about, they could see it. But so many just won't do it. So many just won't hear it. What's the litmus test? Is it the broad way or the narrow path? That's the litmus test. If people are going to tell you that this is what you need to do, that you can do whatever you want to, however you want to, give them the litmus test. Ask them. Does this thing that you're telling me that God wants me to do, this thing that says that I can go do anything I want to, anywhere I want to, is that the broad way that leads to destruction, or is it the narrow path? If everybody's doing it, does that mean that it's the narrow path? That's your litmus test. If somebody tells you something's going on in the Bible and tries to give you some kind of doctrine based upon that, always ask yourself, which way does it go? I even say it about me. Prove me by reading the book for yourself. Pray for yourself. All I can do is I can pray for the truth from the Father, and I can ask him to help me discern this so that I won't act like I know half of what I'm talking about. All I can tell you is what I've read, what I understand. And what I understand is not what I've been told for years and years and years. It's completely different. The whole world is completely different. We need to keep going, though. I need to keep going. So yeah, they went to him and they said, put this man to death. He is speaking against this people. Verse 5, Then Zedekiah the king said, Behold, he is in your hand, for the king is not he that can do anything against you. Then took they Jeremiah and cast him into the dungeon of Malchiah, the son of Hamelech, that was in the court of the prison. And they let down Jeremiah with cords. And in the dungeon there was no water but mire. And Jeremiah sunk in the mire. So he sunk in the mud, in the dirt, in the nastiness. So verse 7. Now when Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs which was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin, Ebed-Melech went forth out of the king's house, and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong. Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from thence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags, and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. And Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords, and took him up out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. Okay, so we're going to have to look up some words here. So let's start back up at the top. Let's read a little bit slower. See if we can get, it pretty much spoke for himself. You know, one of the eunuchs went back to the king and said they didn't kill him. They're just going to make him starve to death in a dungeon. Let's back up to verse 7. Now when Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, one of the eunuchs, was in the king's house, heard that they had put Jeremiah in the dungeon, the king then sitting in the gate of Benjamin. So it was the king in the gate of Benjamin. So it was a different king, maybe? Maybe. Who knows? Because you got to remember that there were different kings sitting over the different gates. Something like that. I don't remember exactly how it works. I am not a learned scholar. I know that there was a king to rule over them, but then there were different people that ruled over the cities around it, and each of the ones inside of the certain gates. I don't remember how it worked. So you go find that out for yourself. That's not the message that I'm most concerned with right now. Ebed-Melech went forth out of the king's house, and spake to the king, saying, My lord the king, these men have done evil in all that they have done to Jeremiah the prophet, whom they have cast into the dungeon, and he is like to die for hunger in the place where he is, for there is no more bread in the city. There's no more bread in the city because they're sending it all to their armies because they're fighting a war. Hunger and famine follow war. That's the way it always is, because you have to send food to your armies. That's the way it always is. It's happened in every country. It's happened in America during World War II. It happened in Japan in World War II. It happened in Russia. It happened in Germany. And who dies first? Well, usually prisoners. Starvation, hunger, sickness. It happens. Verse 10, Then the king commanded Ebed-Melech the Ethiopian, saying, Take from hence 30 men with thee, and take up Jeremiah the prophet out of the dungeon before he die. So Ebed-Melech took the men with him, and went into the house of the king under the treasury, and took thence old cast clouts. What is an old cast clout? I've never heard somebody... Verse 11. That's why we look these words up. It's a rag. It's just a rag. Old cast clouts and old rotten rags. Well, yeah, duh. Clout, stuff pulled or dragged about. Now, if you look at the word clout, you're going to get a heavy blow with the hand, or influence, power, hit hard, mend with a patch. There we go. Mend with a patch. It's just patches that you use. The use over time is right about the 1970s. 1960s, 1970s, it exploded with clout. God. So it is a patch. It is just it's another name for rags. So he took the rags. All right. Took thence old cast clouts and old rotten rags and let them down by cords into the dungeon to Jeremiah. So he just basically took a bunch of rags, tied them into ropes, and set them down for Jeremiah. And Ebed-Melech, the Ethiopian, said unto Jeremiah, Put now these old cast clouts and rotten rags under thine armholes, under the cords. And Jeremiah did so. So they drew up Jeremiah with cords and took him out of the dungeon, and Jeremiah remained in the court of the prison. So I was going to say, if anything, you get a vocabulary lesson, because I didn't know that either. Clouts, it's just another name for, leftover fabrics that you use to patch holes. This is cast clouts. This is stuff that they had thrown away. Just leftover rags and stuff. Interesting. Hey, you learn something new every day, man. Come on. Verse 14. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. I swear that sneeze came up out of nowhere. I ain't kidding. It came up out of nowhere. But I do feel a little bit better. So let's start 14 again. Because we know, as the more I read, the more my nose starts going crazy. So then Zedekiah, man. And now my nose is all. See, it's like I got my nasal nose, my nasal voice going now. And this is why I didn't want to wake up early on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, because I knew I would have been this bad. And I'm really not bad, it's just it snuck up on me. Alright, verse 14 one more time. Here we go. I am very sorry, but it is what it is. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, If I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? So Zedekiah the king sware secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, As the Lord liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, If thou wilt surely go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, and thou shalt live, and thine house. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they... Okay. Let's try 18 again. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. And Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, They shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord, which I speak unto thee. So I will be well unto thee. So it shall be well unto thee, and thou soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord hath shown me. And behold, all the women that are left in the king of Judah's house shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon's princes. And those women shall say, Thy friends have set thee on, and have prevailed against thee. Thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they are turned away back. So they shall bring out all thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shalt be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and thou shalt cause this city to be burned with fire. All right, there's a lot going on there. So let's go back and read it slow, as long as my system will allow me. So, back up to 14. Then Zedekiah the king sent and took Jeremiah the prophet unto him into the third entry that is in the house of the Lord. And the king said unto Jeremiah, I will ask thee a thing, hide nothing from me. All right. Then Jeremiah said unto Zedekiah, If I declare it unto thee, wilt thou not surely put me to death? And if I give thee counsel, wilt thou not hearken unto me? Because you have to remember, up until this point, king hasn't listened to him anyways. That Jeremiah has been speaking this truth to his people for years and years and years. Ain't nobody listened to him yet. As a matter of fact, the princes came to the king and said, this man keeps talking bad about, we're just a couple days ago you wanted to put me to death. You gave me over to these people that wanted to kill me, and you're going to ask me for my opinion now? What, are you serious? You didn't give a crap about me 2 days ago. Now you're wanting me to give you advice. Yeah, good stuff on that one. Verse 16, So Zedekiah the king sware secretly unto Jeremiah, saying, As the Lord liveth, that made us this soul, I will not put thee to death, neither will I give thee into the hand of these men that seek thy life. Which he didn't. From that point on, he didn't put him to death, and he did keep him in a prison, but he didn't give Jeremiah over to anybody either. Then said Jeremiah unto Zedekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of hosts, the God of Israel, If thou wilt surely go forth unto the king of Babylon's princes, then thy soul shall live, and this city shall not be burned with fire, but thou shalt live, and thine house. But if thou wilt not go forth to the king of Babylon's princes, then shall this city be given into the hand of the Chaldeans, and they shall burn it with fire, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand. This is God telling them once again, let them take you. But if you fight back against it, you will die. Now again, a lot of people will point to right now and say, well, all you have to do is just be subject to your governors. Yeah, but God also says that you're supposed to speak the truth and speak the word everywhere you can. You're supposed to try to warn these people of what's coming. I don't care. I'm very sorry about that. I don't care if all of these people, if all of these evil men that are planning all these extremely evil things make it come to pass tomorrow that we are under a social credit system and that, we can't buy or sell or do anything without some kind of a mark or whatever it is. If you don't speak the truth today to warn the people, that blood is on your hands. God will take that blood from you because you chose not to speak the truth. You chose not to follow the truth. if you're at least listening to this, and you have the truth in your heart, and you're not sharing it, you have to understand that God doesn't like that. That we have to speak the truth. It doesn't matter if the world's going to end tomorrow. If you're not telling these people what's coming, if you're not explaining the truth, this is the one message I've gotten over and over again. You have to constantly speak the truth. You cannot fall into little white lies anymore either. Little white lies are still lies. You can't even trust actors. Acting is a lie. Ooh, that's a big one. The people don't like hearing that. But what about my Kirk Cameron? What about my Kevin Sorbo? Well, you know what? They're actors. They're lying. They probably celebrate Christmas too. Hey, guess what? What's the litmus test? Is it the Broadway or is it the narrow path? You know, I swear, I say that. I say that, and it like negates everything that I've said before with people. Oh no, he said I can't celebrate Christmas. That's it, I'm done. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, God does not want you celebrating Christmas. So, it's not up to me whether you are going to get judged for that or not. The book itself tells you you're not supposed to be doing this. I've had so many arguments about this. People still don't get it because they choose to have their happy, joy feelings. Hey, you know, that's cool, man. You do whatever you want. I'm not going to judge you for it. I can't judge you for it. That's going to be between you and the Father. All I can do is I can point you to all the places where it says do not follow pagan rituals. Do not follow pagan customs. And then I can point to you in history that shows you where the same people that use this book in order to control and manipulate and destroy you are the same ones that invented Christmas. That invented Christmas out of the old pagan ways. They just twisted it and used it as a way to bring in all of the other pagans. I can point it to you all you want, and you can sit there and you can tell me that the blood of Christ overcame everything, and because of that, everything is pure and wholesome and clean for us to be able to work, and I can tell you bullshit. I can tell you that Christ never would have wanted that. Because I can tell you flat out, Christ followed the law of God. He followed the commandments of God. The one thing that Christ would have followed more than anything else is to not do what the pagans do. If you're going to follow in the footsteps of Christ, which everybody says, there's a lot of people out there right now that will say, follow in the footsteps of Christ. Don't follow in the footsteps of God. Follow in the footsteps of Christ. Well, guess what? Christ followed the commandments and the laws of God. One of the commandments of God was, do not do as the pagans do. So don't give me that nonsense anymore. I don't fall for that anymore. So come on, pull it back. Coming back to this. God was saying, this is what's going to happen. When it comes that time, let yourselves be taken captive. This was in Jeremiah's time. In Paul's time, in Rome, to the Romans. He didn't say this to the Thessalonians. He didn't say this to the Ephesians. He didn't say this to anybody else. He said it to the Romans. Remember, you're looking for 2 witnesses. There was no other witness other than Paul that said, Let yourself be subject. Because Paul saw his people getting killed. The only other thing I can say about that is people want to say, well, all you have to do is just shut up. Because I've heard that people say that too. As a Christian, just keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. Don't speak up against the system. I've heard people say that. That is extremely wrong. Just be subject to your rulers. Just do what they tell you to do. Well, you know what? If that was true, Paul wouldn't have been martyred. Peter would not have been martyred. All these other apostles would not have been martyred. They got martyred because they weren't following the rules of the higher powers. Because if they were, if Christ was following the rules of the higher powers, he would not have been crucified. They weren't. But when you're getting wholesale slaughtered, when there's a time to speak up, and there's a time to shut up. We just did that one a while back for Ephesians. Remember, I'm still reading through Ephesians 2. You remember that? There's a time to speak up. There's a time to shut up. There's a time for war. There's a time for peace. There's a time for all this other kind of stuff. There's a time to keep your mouth shut. But there's a time, like right now, that we need to fight back as much as possible. So, while Jeremiah is saying to the king right now, in this time period of Jerusalem, saying, you need to let them come in and take you and you will survive. That's what God was telling them. What is God telling us now? God is telling us now to repent, to be a watchman on the wall, to speak up, and to fight with the full armor of God. You have to know what that means. You have to understand and know what that means. And I could give you a list of everything we should be fighting back against. We should be fighting it back against so much. But so many Christians, quote unquote Christians, are going out of their way to just say, oh, this is the way it's going to happen. Oh, Sodom and Gomorrah. Oh, days of Noah. Let's just let it happen as quick as possible. There are people out there that are actually saying, well, God is coming back. Let's just let it happen. God is coming back. If God is coming back, then you need to start saving souls. You can't sit on your hands. I have such a problem with people that are sitting on their hands waiting for a rapture. Christ is coming back. All I got to do is just sit here and wait. In the meantime, you're not saving your souls. You're not trying to save your neighbors. You're not trying to save your family. You're not trying to do any of this. It's so messed up. It's so messed up. Where were we at? Verse 19. Zedekiah the king said unto Jeremiah, I am afraid of the Jews that are fallen to the Chaldeans, lest they deliver me into their hand, and they mock me. But Jeremiah said, they shall not deliver thee. Obey, I beseech thee, the voice of the Lord, which I speak unto thee. So it shall be well unto thee, and thy soul shall live. But if thou refuse to go forth, this is the word that the Lord hath shown me. And behold, all the women that are left in the king of Judah's house shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon's princes, and those women shall say, thy friends have set thee on, and have prevailed against thee. Thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they are turned away back. It's interesting that, yet again, God used Jeremiah in some physical aspect. in order to use his physical aspect as a teaching. That he was lowered down into a dungeon, into the mire, where he could not move, where he was set upon by all the princes of Jerusalem. And he is now telling the king of Judah that if you do not do what the Lord says, that the women, all the women that are left in the king of Judah's house, shall be brought forth to the king of Babylon's princes, and those women shall say, Thy friends have set thee on, and have prevailed against thee. Thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they are turned back away. So they shall bring. Now, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to figure out a good way of talking about this. Hold on. So 23. So they shall bring out all thy wives and thy children to the Chaldeans, and thou shalt not escape out of their hand, but shall be taken by the hand of the king of Babylon, and thou shalt cause this city to be burned with fire. He is saying, the women shall go forth to the king of Babylon, to the princes of the king of Babylon, and say, Thy friends have set thee on, and have prevailed against thee. Thy friends, thy feet are sunk in the mire, and they are turned back away. It's the way that it's written. I don't have too much time to sit here and try to figure this out, though. I'm sure somebody can figure it out. I'm sure somebody better than me can figure it out. Like I said, I don't have the time to sit here and try to figure that out too much, but it is the same. You have Jeremiah being sunk into a dungeon, into the mire, by people that should have trusted him and listened to him, of course. And he is saying, if the king of Judah refuses to listen to him, then all the women will go to the princes of Babylon, and they will tell them pretty much the same things. It's your friends have set you on, is that they have prevailed against you, and your feet are sunk in the mire, and you cannot move because of it. And they will come harder, I guess. I don't know. I don't really know. Again, it's probably not the most important thing, but it's another one of those physical examples. It's like, taking the pot, breaking it on the ground, taking a loincloth and making it, everything in Jeremiah's life, every teaching, every prophecy he ever had seemed to have some kind of a physical aspect before it actually happened. Let's keep going now. It's like I said, I don't have time to be. I gotta think about getting ready for work here too. So verse 24. Then said Zedekiah unto Jeremiah, Let no man know of these words, and thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, Declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death. Also what the king said unto thee, then thou shalt say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them Let's try 27 again. Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked him, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So Jeremiah abode in the court of the prison until the day that Jerusalem was taken, and he was there when Jerusalem was taken. All right. So back up to 24. Then said Zedekiah unto Jeremiah, Let no man know of these words, and thou shalt not die. But if the princes hear that I have talked with thee, and they come unto thee, and say unto thee, Declare unto us now what thou hast said unto the king, hide it not from us, and we will not put thee to death. Also what the king said unto thee. So he's pretty much saying, if these guys come unto you, and if they ask what was said between us, then shalt thou say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. Which, in a roundabout way, he did. It was not a lie for him to say it. The king took Jeremiah into the third entry of the house of the Lord, and he said, Speak with me, hide not a thing. Then Jeremiah told him and said, If I declare it to you, will you not put me to death? If I give you counsel, will you not hearken to me? That within itself was enough of a supplication to say, if I tell you what the Lord tells you, will you not kill me? I mean, why should I give you any information if you're just going to kill me? That's presenting a supplication. He didn't lie. That's not a lie. Not really. There's a lot of people that want to, point to these kind of little things like this and say, oh, look, such and such lied here. It's okay to make a lie. No, it's not really a lie. It's not really a lie. He basically said, well, if I tell you, surely you're going to kill me. So then Zedekiah said, no, I will not let anybody touch you if you simply tell me the truth. He presented a supplication to him, and the king granted it to him. See how that works? So, also with the kings, then shalt thou say unto them, I presented my supplication before the king, that he would not cause me to return to Jonathan's house to die there. Then came all the princes unto Jeremiah and asked them, and he told them according to all these words that the king had commanded. So they left off speaking with him, for the matter was not perceived. So Jeremiah abode in the court of the prison until the day that Jerusalem was taken, and he was there when Jerusalem was taken. I've heard that several times. We'll see, God forgives this person for lying. Well, if that's what you think happened. Now, when I read stuff like that, that's not how it is. That's not how the Bible puts it out like that. A supplication does not have to be presenting. Well, let's look up the definition right now. 26. A favor. A supplication. I presented my supplication before the king. That does not mean that I fell on my knees and I prayed to him. He very well could have done that, but he said no. He asked, if I tell you these things, then surely you're going to kill me. I mean, why should I even attempt to tell you these things? You're going to kill me. And the king gave him his favor, and he said, if you tell me the truth, I will not have these things happen to you. So no, it's not a lie. But I've heard people use this stuff against the Bible before, and it's like, no, you have to read the whole chapter. You have to understand what it's saying. He's not really lying. Now the whole thing about, not being put back in Jonathan's house to die, well, the king did promise him that he's not going to let the men, I will not put you to death, which means I will not put you back into Jonathan's house so that you can die. I will not give you over into the hands of these men. I may put you back in the court of the prison, but I will not allow you to die. So no, that's not a lie. Don't ever let anybody tell you otherwise. Because again, I've heard people use stuff like this against the Bible. Say, well, look, God grants amnesty to liars. Well, then again, you know what? There's time for everything. There's an absolute time for everything. And if God has to use a liar in order to get his way, then that's the way it has to be. I don't think that's what it is, though. I think it's inside the text. You just have to be able to read it and understand it. There are places I don't understand. I'm still trying to figure out about this whole thing about thy friends have set thee on. Let's look it up. Screw it. Let's just look it up. They shall say, thy friends have set thee on. Your friends have incited you and have prevailed against you. Thy friends have incited you and have prevailed against you. Your feet are sunk in the mire, and they turned away back. There's still something to that I'm not understanding. So I don't understand everything, but I do understand enough to be able to know that somebody tells you one thing, you got to read the whole chapter. You can't just read part of it. What was the one? I wish I could remember the one that I saw it this morning before I hopped in the shower. What was it? Oh, it was one of the big ones. One of the big ones that people like to use. Oh, what was it? I can't think of it now. But it's another one of those. It was don't let it. It was about eating foods, celebrating certain days. Don't let anybody judge you based upon what you do, how you do it. As a way of saying, you can celebrate any holiday you want. You can do anything you want. And somebody, thankfully, had replied back to it, well, read the rest of the chapter, where it also says at the very end that you're supposed to follow the 10 Commandments. I wish I could remember where that was. I cannot remember exactly where that was. Shoot. Was it in Colossians? No man therefore judge you in meat or in drink or in respect of a holiday or the new moon or the Sabbath days, which are a shadow of things to come, but as the body of Christ. Blah, blah, blah. But there was... Hold on a second. It's Colossians 2. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ, this is verse 20 of that same line. This is or is it Second Colossians? Am I? Give me a second. I'm looking. Hold on. Give me a second. 16. Let no man therefore judge you in meat, eat, or whatever. Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ in the rudiments of the world, why, as they are living, are ye subject to ordinances? Okay, this is verse 20. Are you ready for it? Wherefore, if ye be dead with Christ from the rudiments of the world, why, as though living in the world, are ye subject to ordinances? And there's parentheses right here. After the commandments and doctrine of men. Not the commandments of God. Why would you let someone else tell you what to do, what to eat, what to drink? Because you remember a lot of this was talking about, there was a lot of talk about not eating meats. Because apparently there was a vegan aspect to the faith. Now, I mean, you can eat whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to tell you what God tells you what to do. But there was a big part of these whenever you read through them again, where it was saying, they're being respecters of certain things and choosing not to eat certain meats and doing all this other kind of stuff. And don't let other people tell you what to do. Because there's already people out there that are twisting the word. Even Christ said that. They are already starting to twist the word. They're going out of their way. They're not just twisting the word of what has already been written. They're already twisting the words of what I'm saying. Christ was saying this. It's already, the spirit of Antichrist was already there. It was already starting to twist things. So when somebody tells you, oh no, it's okay, you can eat this unclean food, even though John said there will be unclean foods in the end of days, the angels themselves even said they're unclean foods. It's okay, you can eat it. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Do not come from the faith. Touch not, taste not, handle not, which all are to perish with the using, after the commandments and doctrines of men, not the commandments and the doctrines of God. You just have to continue reading the chapter. I've already said it before. You can cherry pick any verse you want to, and you can make your doctrine out of it. And many people have done that. Many very bad evil men have done that and caused many people to err and have subjected many people. One verse out of this Bible could subject an entire country, spoken from the right person. And people will fall for it every single time. And they've had hundreds of years. If you believe your own history, they've had many, many centuries, almost a millennia, to be able to do this now. You don't think that you've been tricked and manipulated by the church? Again, you don't even know what day it is. You don't even know what hour of the day it is. You don't know what month it is. You don't know what year it is. If you can't even know If you can't even know what the true hour of the day is, how do you know anything? This is a man-made clock. This is a man-made calendar. And they named every day. They named every day after a pagan god. They manipulated your clock to represent a 666. Yeah, hell yes, there's a better way to do it. A second doesn't have to last for a second. A minute doesn't have to last for a minute. But hell yes, there's a different way of doing it. It's all man-made. It's all the doctrines and it's all the inventions of mankind, not of God. That's all I have to say. I have to stop now. I have to get ready for work. I love you all. God bless everybody. Take care of yourselves. Yes, I can be wrong. Yes, I can be manipulated and tricked into not knowing the truth. That's why above all things, every single other thing I've ever said, I say, do not listen to me. Find it out for yourself. Pray for the answer. Pray for truth. Pray for spiritual discernment. But for crying out loud, all I ask you to do is just tell the truth. That's all I ask. Just tell the truth. Don't listen to me, but just my plea to you is to just tell the truth. Not even white lies. Stop making white lies. Stop it. All right, I shall talk to y'all later. Take care of yourselves.